WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Labor Day murder suspect Michael Devon appears before a judge this afternoon in an Oktibbeha County courtroom. You may remember it was yesterday when we first reported that Devon was indicted on 1 count of capital murder and 1 count of sexual battery in the Starkville deaths, in the 1990 deaths of Betty Jones and Kathleen Krigler in Starkville.
Our Quentin Smith was inside the courtroom for today's arraignment. He joins us live from Oktibbeha County with more.
Andrea, after today's court appearance, Michael Devon was brought right back here to the Oktibbeha County Jail, where he currently remains behind bars tonight. Now, during today's court appearance, Devon was read both charges being brought against him, and he pled not guilty to both of those charges. Also during today's arraignment, Judge Lee Coleman denied bond for Devon. Now, the 51-year-old, he's accused of going into Kathleen Krigler's home on September 3rd back in 1990. Krigler's friend, Betty Jones, was visiting the home at that time. Now, police believe Jones answered a knock at the door, and that's when Devon allegedly made his way inside, allegedly killing Jones, then went into the bedroom and sexually assaulted Krigler, leaving her for dead. However, Krigler was able to call for help. We caught up with District Attorney Scott Colomb after today's arraignment. He says at this time, the death penalty is still an option.
Absolutely is on the table. We're going to consult with the victim's family, go through the process that we have for determining whether to go for the death penalty or not, and after we're done with that process, we're going to announce the decision and move forward.
Now, at this time, Colomb says they don't know when Devon's next court appearance is going to be. They're still waiting to see if Devon is going to keep his court-appointed attorney or hire someone new to represent him. However, Colomb did say once everything gets sorted out, he wants to push this case to get moving as soon as possible. We're live in Oktibbeha County tonight. Quentin Smith, WCBI News.
All right, thanks, Quentin. When people hear the words card skimmers, most people think of gas station card readers, but the reality is people can get your information from multiple sources, including your bank's ATM.
That's what some area residents are finding out the hard way after a string of charges hit Columbus. Our Riley Livingston talks with law enforcement to bring us this story.
The Columbus Police Department is on the lookout for the man seen in this video. Police Chief Fred Shelton says they suspect he is connected to a string of ATM card skimming reports across the city.
In this case, we had this guy was going to ATM machines at banks in various locations in the city and just pulling up on a bicycle, taking a card out, inserting the card into the machine to obtain money from that personal account.
And getting the information scammers need isn't as hard as people might think.
So basically on the credit card, there is this magnetic strip holds all your information. It holds all your transactions. And a person can take and get this information off this card and use this card on another card, and just as we go and we make a purchase, we just slide it. And all that information, all your routing information, your bank account, all this on it's right here, containing this little magnetic strip.
Chief Shelton says skimmers are also getting harder to spot, but there are some things you can do to stay financially secure.
You need to check your bank account at least once a week, and if there are transactions that are not authorized, you need to immediately notify your bank. The other thing is to make sure that you cover your information. Someone may be behind you with an iPhone capture the card, because all they really need is this number right here, and they can take and charge, and you can be buying a new house in Miami, Florida, and not even know it.
And while skimmers have become a growing concern, usually gas stations are where people look out for them.
Never thought about that, but when I go, of course, to purchase gas, yes. I always check it to be sure if it moved any, I would not use it.
Banks are doing everything they can to keep scammers from stealing your information.
The banks is being proactive. When you go and make an ATM transaction, there's a camera that's watching you. So the bank captures that person that's coming in, that's making that transaction, and it keeps a record.
That was our Riley Livingston reporting. Now, the chief says if something looks out of place, don't use the ATM, contact the bank or police to have them come out and investigate. And just one more footnote to this story, police wanted us to let you know that the bank ATM that you saw in the video, that surveillance video, is not the place where the skimming actually took place. So that's not where the information was gotten.
Two men arrested after running from a traffic stop are identified. Lowndes County narcotics agents tried to pull over a SUV on 4th Avenue North on Tuesday afternoon. Now 25-year-old John Dancer is charged with possession of a stolen firearm and possession of a weapon by a convicted felon. 29-year-old Titus Little is charged with possession of marijuana. Both men from Columbus. Commander Archie Williams says about 4 ounces of marijuana and some methamphetamine were found by the agents at the scene. Investigators are still searching for a third suspect.
A driver in Oktibbeha County escapes injury after a car crashes and flips. The crash happened on Highway 82 near the Webster County line. State troopers say the Ford Fusion flipped, but the driver was able to get out. One lane of traffic was briefly closed while crews worked to clear the accident scene. The accident remains under investigation. Time now to get a first look at our forecast. We'll turn it over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Well, speaking of Oktibbeha County, with a great sunset, you can see that right there near Starkville. Some of those cirrus clouds this evening. Always great to see the cirrus clouds with the setting sun. Right now, live view in downtown Tupelo with our Alpha Insurance camera network. Mainly clear, quiet conditions out there. Temperatures are cooling down. 35 for you in Tupelo, down to 32 in Columbus and Starkville, 30 already in Oxford, 39 in Macon. We are looking at some 30s, then some low 20s later this evening. Lows tonight down around 20 degrees, if not a few teens. We are looking at some 50s. A pretty nice day for you Thursday. More in just a few minutes.
Well, ambulance service is sparking complaints and concerns in Clay County. City and county leaders there are negotiating with North Mississippi Health Service on the issue.
People are complaining about the availability and response time of ambulances. The hospital says 2 ambulances are based at the West Point facility. Our Jory Talley joins us in the studio with more on this story. Jory?
North Mississippi Ambulance Services says ambulance throughout its healthcare system help each other out. Some Clay County residents believe that's causing slower response time in their county.
When there's an emergency, you expect help to be there within minutes. And when there's someone who is sick or injured, those minutes count. Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott says he's been hearing complaints about too many minutes ticking away while waiting on an ambulance.
I've been getting complaints myself probably over the last year, not only from the citizens but from our deputies, law enforcement community. You know, it just seems like it's taking longer, which it is actually taking longer when you go back and look at the call runs. But again, it's not the ambulance crews. They do a fantastic job. It's just the availability of the vehicle itself.
North Mississippi Ambulance Services says there are times when an ambulance must leave Clay County to transfer or pick up a patient from another facility. It also says there are times when their Clay County-based ambulance may leave and go to a neighboring county for a call or to assist ambulance crews stationed there.
When you don't have one ambulance or 2 ambulances covering, depending on the call volume, you know, they can get busy real quick. And it's frustrating for us as first responders, you know, having to wait an additional length of time for an ambulance come out of another county. So, you know, we just want to make sure that we got ample coverage. We know that anything can happen where you may need 5 ambulances at one time. We understand that.
Scott says in the past, services were pretty quick.
Ambulance crew, you know, sometimes they take a lot of heat because it took them so long to get there, but I think it's circumstances beyond their control. Again, the crew that we have that works this area are fantastic. I can't say enough about them, and they are well respected and well loved. But the response time, again, I think it goes back to a management issue, and I believe our city and county leaders are in the process of addressing the issues now.
The sheriff says if an ambulance does take longer to respond, there are other first responders on scene who can help.
A lot of our volunteer fire, for example, they are certified EMTs. So initially, when there's accidents, when there's an event like that goes on, they are automatically responded out. So, you know, and even our law enforcement officers, we're going to respond or going to perform what we can as far as basic medical needs until an ambulance gets there.
Chancery Clerk Amy Berry and Mayor Robbie Robinson declined to comment.
An area teacher has the formula for making science fun.
We meet our Educator of the Week when we come back.
Welcome back, everyone. Graduation is about 4 months away for MSU students, and that means the pressure is on to land that first job. Today, the university helps them out by hosting its annual Career Day. The event brings prospective employers to campus, giving students a jump start on the job search. The soon-to-be grads are hoping their connections that they make today will mean a smooth transition from college to career.
I'll be ecstatic. I've been looking for a job ever since like sophomore year, just like internship and co-ops, and now I'm a senior, and my parents to be happy, I'll definitely be happy.
It'll be a great feeling just even getting something today or in a week. Just knowing that I can go in right away and get started and get into my career.
The Mississippi State University Career Center hosts this two-day event.
Some teachers just have good chemistry with their students. That's the case for this week's Educator of the Week. Kelly Dawkins is a science teacher at Starkville High, and whether she's demonstrating the do's and don'ts of working in the lab or running an experiment with her students, Dawkins says she treats all of her students like they are future scientists, and she hopes she brings excitement to STEM fields.
I just want to promote science as an exciting area to study for both males and females. I love being around high school students. They're fun and they make my job fun. And so anytime that they're excited about my lesson, it's not like coming to work.
To nominate your favorite teacher, visit wcbi.com.
Warming up into the 50s in many spots for tomorrow. We go up from there as we get into your Friday. We end the work week on a much milder note, upper 50s to around 60, even warmer days coming. More after the break.
WCBI's Educator of the Week is brought to you by Food Giant, where your neighbors are the owners. Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Cold mornings, lingering moisture, giving rise to some interesting icicle formations. This is a picture from this morning, I do believe. Jeffrey sends us that great photo right there. Another very cold night tonight, down into the low 20s and some upper teens out there, some passing clouds, but fairly quiet overall, just cold. The Arctic blast that we've been dealing with in the lower 48 will be lifting back to the north, and look at all these rosy colors here. And that means warmer air is on the way. Some 50s for tomorrow, flirting with 60 Friday, 60s for the weekend, and getting into the upper 60s, low 70s early next week. Now, these are current numbers. It is 15 below in Chicago, 16 below in Minneapolis. That cold air trying to get down here to the deep south, but it just could not do it. Folks in Phoenix enjoying the 70, 72 degrees, 63 in Las Vegas. We do have some 50s and 40s down to our southwest in San Antonio and Houston right now, and that is the weather coming our way for tomorrow. This is our Alpha Insurance Louisville, Mississippi Skycam. You can see the cirrus clouds passing on through today. We had a few of those sundogs reported, some of those ice crystals in the sky. We'll zoom on in. We are sandwiched in between weather systems. Notice a little bit of upper level moisture to our south, moving away from our area. A little bit of snow up there by St. Louis. That is going to move to the east, so we are sandwiched right in between, and that means another pretty nice day for tomorrow. A chilly start, some clouds perhaps in some spots in the morning, but overall we're going to call it mostly sunny. Mid to upper 40s by noon, and then into the low 50s during the course of the afternoon. So an improvement here, much warmer down to our south, and that will be shifting north as we get into your Friday. So that is why we're expecting highs in the upper 50s to around 60 as we close out the work week. Right here, Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds, but mostly sunny. A few more clouds in the region starting Friday, so it may not be as bright. There may be a few showers from time to time starting Friday, and also for the weekend too. So we will include a 20% chance of rain, but notice how once we get into your Saturday and Sunday, mid-60s here. Monday, 69, a slightly better opportunity for some rain, but a better chance, I think, Tuesday and Wednesday. Upper 60s, low 70s. Overnight lows going from the 20s tonight to the 50s to around 60 as we get into early next week.
The road woes continue for the Bulldogs. Coming up in Tuscaloosa, hear from Coach Howland on the troubles next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
Mississippi State moving fast to fill its opening at defensive line coach. The Bulldogs making it official within this hour, hiring Meridian native Deke Adams. Jeans Page and Steve Robertson were the first to report the news. Adams recently took the D-line job at Memphis after spending 2 seasons at the same position with Larry Fedora at North Carolina. Yet another down-to-the-wire road loss for Mississippi State, falling to the Alabama Crimson Tide Tuesday. While there were plenty of highlights early on, it was an overall ugly game for both teams. The Tide and Bulldogs combining to go 4 for 34 from 3, both teams missing a combined 24 free throws, with the key to the game being the paint. Alabama scoring more than half of its points inside, 54 of 83 total. Ben Howland saying a lot of that due to lackadaisical defense.
Too many times they fed the posts and they just cut to the basket. And it's like, you know, we weren't playing the cuts. I mean, they were really, I mean, they must have got 3 or 4 baskets easily just on post feed cut to the basket where we kind of relaxed for a second rather than staying intense, and we got hurt on it multiple times.
I know people love to pick apart a stat sheet, but this is a team that's been scoring, having double figures three-point shots, and you know we held them to 3 tonight. That's pretty huge, but they sure held us to 1, right? So I just think for us, high-level concentration, all the small minor details, especially early in the game, a little bit early in the second half, didn't execute on some of those details late. That last 4 minutes of the game, you know, we just got to get better, but fortunately we held off a really good team.
Baldwin native and Northeast Tiger Felix Hayes is named the Mississippi JUCO Men's Basketball Player of the Week. Hayes' first time receiving the honor. The sophomore was red hot this week in wins over Delta and EMCC, averaging a double-double, 24 points and 11.5 boards, also connecting on 13 of 19 three-point attempts. Hayes is Hoops family member. On the women's side, Ripley native Deja Rogan was also named Player of the Week on the women's side of Mississippi JUCO. Taking a look at Ole Miss men's basketball, it is halftime right now in Gainesville. The Rebels trailing by 3 to Florida. A similar game to that Mississippi State-Alabama game. Both teams throwing up a lot of bricks, but Florida able to go on a late run to pull ahead of Ole Miss. We'll have all highlights and recap coming up tonight right here on WCBI Sports. And just within the hour, coming up tonight also on WCBI Sports up at Tupelo, the Golden Wave soccer team defeating Warren Central 7-0. The Golden Wave are advancing to the second round. We'll have highlights coming up at 10. Also on the women's basketball side, Columbus defeating Tupelo. That clinches the #1 seed overall for Columbus heading into the district tournament coming up next week. Also, Tupelo and Columbus boys men's basketball tipping off in just a minute. We'll have highlights from all things Tupelo and Columbus coming up at 10 right here on WCBI Sports. But that's it for sports. We'll have a last secure forecast coming up next.
Some spring-like weather.
How about it?
I'll take it.
We start a new month. I think Friday, yes. Friday begins February, and we go right back into some spring-like temperatures here for the weekend 60s. There may be a few showers around. It's not going to be one of those weekend washouts like we've been used to of late. And then some warmer weather yet early next week.
Good.
Yeah, we could use some time to thaw out.
Yeah, it was 24 or 5 when I left home this morning.
Chilly. Now, if we could only just usher those warmer temperatures up north, but they'll warm up too.
Oh boy, bless them.
I couldn't do it. Just couldn't. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good night.